Selamat siang. Putri.
Siang, Pak.
Suara saya jelas ya?
Udah Pak ini.
Jelas, Pak.
Oke.
Jelas, Pak.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's free webinar hosted by REI Sistem Indonesia Group in collaborating with FSSC 22,000 or FSSC Foundation. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nadifa or Diva, and I'm honored to be your moderator or MC for today's special occasion entitled Introducing FSSC 20,000 versions 7. It is truly a pleasure to welcome all participants joining us with different company, different institution, country, and also time zone. And thank you for taking the time to be part of this important webinar as we explore the latest updates and developments in FCC 22,000 version 7, one of the leading food safety certification scheme recognized worldwide. And we hope today's webinar will provide valuable insight and practical understanding for all the participants. And sorry. Okay. And before we officially begin the session, let's capture this moment together. So I kindly invite to all the participants to open the camera. Okay. I will wait until the participant open the camera. Okay. Okay, I think everyone is already open the camera. So what the pose we have to documentation? This one, the thumbs up or yeah, okay. I think the thumbs up one, yeah, for the first pose.
The
So
second,
please give the thumbs.
the
Your
second
thumbs.
gesture
Okay.
maybe 7, right?
Oh, okay. It's perfect, Pak. Okay. Okay, for the team, please screenshot the moment. Okay, I will count on my 3 and 1, 2, and 3. Okay, wait a moment. For the page 2, 1, 2, and 3. For the page 3, 1, 2, and 3. Page 4, 1, 2, and 3. And page 5, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, perfect. Thank you everyone for the participant. Okay, to officially open today's webinar, I will like to inform about the agenda today. The title of this webinar, it's all about introducing the FSSC 20,000 version 7. And this is the agenda for today. It will be opening speech at the first, and then we have to the material for the introduction to FSSC 22 version 7, and then it will be discussion and Q&A, and also at the end we have to we can do some quiz. Okay. And then to officially open to today's webinar, we would like to invite the representative of REI Sistem Indonesia Group, Mr. Edi SS Koto, STP RLA Lead Inspector PCQI, to deliver his opening remarks. For Mr. Edi,
Ya,
I think screen is yours.
Thank you, Miss Diva. Good afternoon, everybody. Selamat siang menjelang sore semuanya. Ya, thank you very much for all of you for attending this special pre-webinar for key update and transition to FSSC version 7. This one very new from the FSSC. Yeah, we are from PT REI Sistem Indonesia Group as one of the experienced consultant and training provider for FSSC implementation across various industry. Happy to welcome you on today's webinar. And we are also very happy and honored to have Mr. Dr. Divi Darsani as a speaker from FSSC Foundation joining us today to share valuable insights directly. Next. Yeah. As of 7 May 2026, there are 792 organization body that are registered within FSSC standards in Indonesia. Yeah, we hope today we can receive new insight from FSSC 20,000. FSSC version 7 introduced several updates and improvement to align with the latest GFSI requirement or a global safety initiative. And we are very happy to all of you to share this new version. And this update are a positive development to strengthen the system and encourage continual improvement within organization. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy new information from the FSSC and from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Eddy, from the opening speech. And then for the next agenda, I think before we move to the main session, allow me to introduce today's keynote speaker and the moderator. So I will share screen. Okay, this is our keynote speaker today, Mr. Dr. Divi Darshan. He is a market development representative, South Asia and Oceania from FSSC Foundation. And for assisting today's session as a moderator and discussion facilitator, it will be Mr. Bayu Singgi Christian, CLA, FSSC 22000 and CLA ISO 9001. Okay, we are truly honored to have distinguished professional joining us today. Without further ado, let's us begin the main presentation session. So please welcome Mr. Dr. Divi Darshan and also Mr. Bayu Singgi, who will guide and facilitate today's discussion session.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Ms. Nadifa, for your opening speech. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon also. Yeah, welcome to our webinar. I understand that today is a big day, not only for all the participants, but I am very excited, not because I am being the moderator today, yeah, but I'm also very interested to hear the explanation from the Mr. Divi Darshan, our keynote speaker today. Maybe before going to presentation, Mr. Dr. Divi Darshan, I will tell the story. For the 3 past months, I have received WhatsApp message almost every day asking to me, Pak Bayu, when will FSSC version 7 be released? Our company want to have the first training from REI System. Can I do it? When I will get a training schedule from REI System? Will it difficult or will there many changes? Yeah. Wow, Bapak Ibu sekalian, I think we are very really excited, yeah, about this latest FSSC standard, yeah. But I'm also curious, the hype, the excited hype, yeah. We want to implement it immediately, or we are worried about the significance of change, yeah. Maybe we want to tell the detail about the FSSC, the latest standard, yeah. Because version 7, I think it's not just a routine update from FSSC, it is a strategic alignment with the latest GFSI requirement. This update are positive development designed to strengthen our existing system in company, and more important, to encourage a culture of continuous improvement within our organization as we adapt to new global benchmark. So, as we begin the technical deep dive, it is essential to understand the FSSC 22000. Yeah, we know about the updating of sector-specific PRP with the ISO 22002 series, yeah, and the additional requirement change. Yeah, and also we shall implement the board of stakeholder and also guidance and interpretation from FSSC Foundation. So I'm sure you are all waiting Mr. Darshan explanation. Mr. Darshan is welcome to share his information today. Let's give him a warm welcome. Please, Mr. Darshan, you can start your material. Thank you so much for today. You can be with us. So, Mr. Darshan, take your time for your presentation. Mbak Diva, mungkin biar Mr. Divi Darshan yang akan show.
Can you hear me well now?
Yeah, Mr. You can start your share screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. So good afternoon to all of you. And first of all,
bagaimana cara kita melepaskan peralatan.
Okay, yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank REI System, Mr. Eddy, Mr. Bayu, Diva, and many other members of REI System for organizing this particular event. So I generally do a presentation related to what is FSSC and what does it mean, and all the details. But today I'm going to skip that. But when I send a presentation to you, I'm going to send some more details about FSSC. So first of all, thank you for your support, because recently FSSC 22000 has surpassed 41,000 certifications globally, becoming the world's leading certification in the food industry, basically. And this is all possible because of your adoption, your support. So with that, we're going to begin the conversation in terms of what has changed in version 7. As Mr. Bayu said that, last 3-4 months we have been getting these questions, but finally we have the details now. And one thing I just wanted to mention is that there is sufficient time for implementation of version 7. So you almost have 1 more year to implement. So there's nothing to panic. There's nothing to worry about. And there will be a lot of training material released in next couple of months, which can be used by you. The first thing I would recommend for you is to go on to FSSC website and download the new version. And also there's a place where they have issued a version which changes highlighted in color, so that you can identify where the change is. Okay, so it's not just about a new document. You will be able to trace what has changed. But today we are going to go through the details of this. Some of you may find it a little bit overwhelming, because a lot of details we will try to provide through this webinar. You will get the entire presentation copy. You can go through it, and in case we are not able to answer the questions today, I will request REI system to collect all the questions and send it to me. We will prepare the answers and we will email it back to you. Also, there will be a section soon in FSSC which will have a standard Q&A provided for most of the commonly asked questions. So you will be able to get that. So let's begin the understanding of what are the main changes in FSSC version 7. Okay. So we are not going to be going through this details in terms of robust framework and this thing. So this is all, you will get the copy of it. But I just wanted to mention to you that if you look at the bottom section of this slide, you will see that the retail, wholesale, trading, brokerage, catering, these are the categories in which you can get the FSSC 22,000 certification. Farming is the one which is not here. Okay. So besides that, you will also see that there are more than 170 partners now, certification bodies and accreditation bodies, and international networks. And there is a development program for those who are beginning the FSSC 22,000 journey, especially for medium and small scale enterprises. Okay, now here is the why typically the changes happen. And here is an example that FSSC has independent board of stakeholders and an advisory committee, and they provide inputs into the process. So as Mr. Bayu said, that whenever there's a change in GFSI, that triggers a change. But what FSSC does is that it's a routine process of reviewing what's going on in the world, and then not only capturing what the GFSI is expecting, but also make additional changes based on the expectations of the market and make it more robust version. So that's why we have entered the version 7. So you will see that typically FSSC additional requirements which come from board of stakeholders. Okay. You can see that it's 100% aligned with latest version of ISO 22,000, which is fully applied. One change which has happened is you must have seen that in the PRP, it used to be PAS 220. Okay. Now PAS has been replaced with ISO 22002 series of prerequisite programs. So this is one of the major changes you will see, because ISO decided to create specific PRPs based on the sectors. And we're going to discuss in more detail about it. So we have an ongoing monitoring system with the licensed CBs to have a strong governance program. And basically, it has also reduced the demand for the second party audits. Now, it has a very strong intellectual property program to maintain the certificate integrity, license, knowledge levels, assurance. There's also a portal called as customer support portal. If you have any questions, you can go and ask there also. Brand protection in terms of complaints, serious events whenever they happen in the marketplace, and the performance evaluation of the certification bodies and the partner organizations. So this is the team. I support South Asia, Australia, and New Zealand now, but you can see there is a big team. If you are in other part of the world, you can reach out to them. So this is about the benefits. This is alignment, management system approach, harmonized structure, developed by international experts based on HACCP and Codex principles, which makes it robust. Focus on continuous improvement of the food safety management system, which is again ISO based, and the risk-based approach, and it covers multiple sectors in food chain. These are the benefits. I am sure that you know about it because I think you see the number of certifications rising in Indonesia. So I want you to sit back, relax now, and listen to me carefully because we are going to jump onto the version 7. Okay. Again, if you have any specific questions, I'm sure that the team is coordinating here. Towards the end, we will answer them. Maybe you can put them into the chat box. So the main drivers for the change here are incorporating ISO 22000 series PRPs, okay, which is a normative document in our scheme. And then the alignment of the scheme with the GFSI benchmarking requirements 2024, okay, strengthening the requirements to help organizations meet the sustainable development goals. So one of the questions was that since FSSC 22000 is trying to work on some of the sustainable development goals, there's not much clarity for the people. How do you achieve them? What is the way of getting there? And this provides more clarity in that space. We also took opportunity to make editorial changes and amendments as a part of our continuous improvement process. Okay, so now here, one of the biggest change includes introduction of 22002. It defines and standardizes the requirements for establishing, implementing, and maintaining the PRPs throughout the food, feed, and packaging supply chain. Its purpose is to assist in controlling food safety hazards in conjunction with ISO 22000 2018 clause 8.2. Okay, and as a reminder, the PRPs include topics such as facility construction, design, hygiene, cleaning and disinfection, pest control, waste management, and maintenance. So if you look at this, there were some gaps in the original standards, and now these have been covered in more detail. And I will take you through one or two examples as we go through the process. Okay, so what is the impact of this change to the certified organization? So this 22002 series of standards was published in July 25, and it replaces the previous 22000X series. And for FSSC 22000 certified organization, this new standard will be included in part 7 now. And it provides one common PRP standard with additional sector-specific parts. And this simplifies the implementation of multi-sector organizations, typically meaning that more standardized PRP structures and cleaner and clearer audit expectations. However, some of the sectors could result in increased and more defined requirements based on Part 100. So I think this is a very strong point that is going to create more robust version and more clearer version for everybody. Now this slide, we will try to explain you through that. How does it work? So we'll take one or two examples. The new ISO PRP structure is designed to harmonize the shared PRPs in part 100, which is on the top, which applies to all sectors, irrespective of what you're doing, and thereby reducing the duplication across sector standards and making it easier for organizations to apply a consistent framework. For example, if we look at the catering company, then the part 100 and ISO 22002, correct? So catering will have this plus this. Likewise, for an organization that does food and packaging manufacturing, then part 100 and then ISO 2002 part 1, which is on the left hand side, and then ISO 2002 part 4, which is extremely on the right hand side. So they will be having a common part 100 and then two separate parts added to this thing. Please note that the part 3, the sector PRP for farming, is still under development, and farming is not included within the scope of FSSC 22,000 scheme. It's also the new to the series that 22,002 7 new PRP standard for retail and wholesale. This replaces PAS 221 that applies to version 6. So you can see the separate this thing for retail now. So one thing what has happened is in this all these changes, there are few places where the clause numbers have changed. So once you are able to download the version from website, you'll be able to see what has changed. Also, when I share this presentation with you, the changes are highlighted and you'll be able to see that what changes are there. So when we look at further into the impact of the change, you'll notice that the clause numbers have changed, and meaning that organizations will have to adopt their new PRPs, including documentation to align with the new structure, which is part 100 plus your relevant structure, what you are in businesses in. As mentioned before, the part 100 contains those PRP requirements that are common across all sectors. And the sector specific parts are only included those requirements over and above what is defined in part 100. For example, when we look at the extract from ISO 22002 part 1, you will see that for the clause 4.2 on the environment, only the requirements as defined by part 100 apply. However, when we look at the clause 4.3 on construction and layout, you will see that the requirement in part 100 apply, plus the additional requirements on drains and drainage directions are additionally mentioned in that. And all these changes have been made by ISO 22002, looking into consideration from all the data and typically the issues what have happened in the past in the food industry. So now we are looking at, I know this is a very busy slide. We will try to show you some examples. What's the difference between, so in order to demonstrate how the clause numbers have changed, an example is displayed on the ISO TS 2002-1 for food manufacturing versus the ISO 2002-1 and part 100 clause 4, 5 and 6 kept the same numbering. You can see that 4, 5, 6, they are the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, clause 7, which is on waste disposal, is now new clause 8. You can see the change. 7 number has changed to the 8 here. And that includes waste, flow management, and recycling. And likewise, clauses 8 and 9 now shift to clause 9 and 10. Okay, 8 and 9 have been now numbered as 9 and 10. So this is the difference. I think the content is same here, but it's just the clause numbers have changed. Here's another example. As mentioned before, the part 100 of PRP includes only those PRP requirements that are applicable across all the sectors. So when you look at the clause 14, okay, here, this one on the left, 14, in the previous ISO 22001, is now not applicable to all the sectors. Okay, but it is not included in the relevant sector part. For example, under clause 17 in ISO 22001, in some cases requirements were also removed for the product recall procedure that was included in 22002 part 1 under clause 15. Okay, so you can see that there's also a change in number 15. Okay, this is removed now in the new version. Okay, which is now no longer included in the new PRP standard because the requirement is already covered in ISO 22000 clause 8.9.5. So some things have been moved back into the main standard. So now let's look at looking at some of the main changes. In today's session, we'll focus on the part 2 of the scheme, which addresses the requirements for the organizations to be audited. That means if you are a company who has got a certification, and on the same key points from the other parts of the scheme. However, for the full overview of a main additions in the scheme, refer to the main changes documents which is published on that, because I don't think we will be able to cover everything in this session. So we're going to start giving you examples which will allow you to see how do you read those documents. So please, I encourage you to go ahead and download the new version of the document. So here we are going to look at the scope of the scheme and the applicable food chain categories and sectors that the scheme covers, basically. So the good news is that the structure of the scheme has not changed. So it remains as it is. Okay. So there are few references which are added into appendices, but we said that everything is the same. So now let's look at the categories. I'm sure you are very familiar with these particular categories. Regarding the scope of certification, no changes to the scope coverage has done between version 6 and 7. And the subcategories are still displayed on this slide, covering the industry sectors from pre-process handling to plant products such as pack house and including now biochemicals as food additives and food supplements. So that was added in the previous version itself, but you can see it's a very clear scheme that if you still have a doubt about where your industry fits in, you contact us and we'll be able to help you out, or even REI System can help you out. So looking at the table 1, the inclusion of ISO 22002, which details food chain categories, sectors covered by the scheme. The normative documents applicable to each food chain category has been updated to align with the inclusion of ISO 20002 series PRP, replacing the previous technical specification PA standard. So this is the part of the scheme where you as a certified organizations, an organization seeking certification can look into what normative documents apply to your scheme. In addition, table 1.1, there is something changed, which is a major change which you need to understand. There is something called as subcategory classification has been added now, and this is where you need to understand what changes have happened into this thing. Okay, so subcategories we'll discuss now in detail. And in addition to this, we also made editorial changes, as we mentioned. And for further classification and amendments, part 4 of our continuous improvement scheme, you'll be able to view those changes which are made in that. Okay, so let's move on to this new part of what has happened. Okay. In the past, you could have just C0, C1, C4 categories. Now, you can see that there is a new introduction of sub-categories now. And these have been added to ensure that auditors have necessary competency to the sub-category level relevant to the scope of the certified organization to ensure that robust audit can be delivered by an auditor with the necessary process knowledge. Okay, now certification bodies have been required to define these themselves in the past. However, to ensure consistency and harmonization between the CBs, now FSSC have introduced formally defined subcategories in the scheme. We will not spend much time going through them in detail in this webinar, but as the subcategories apply to the CB's management of auditor competency mostly and do not apply to the certificates. Okay. Now CB licensing or to accreditation. However, it should be also noted that there are only subcategories defined for following food chain categories. Okay, that C0 is the animal one, primary conversion such as slaughterhouses, and you can see that C1, which is processing for perishable animal products. Okay, and then C4 is the processing of ambient stable products. You can also see that within table 1, in case of I, production and packaging material, also you can see because the competencies required for an auditor in plastics are different versus paper, board, metal, glass, and other packaging. The similar thing with the K, which is production of biochemicals. So it's been very clear that that these subcategories have been added, but also no subcategories have been added for B3, C2, C3, D, E, F1, F2, and G. So those who are in this categories, you do not have to look into this, but those who are in the categories which are C0, C1, C4, I, and K, you need to be cognizant of this change. So part 2 of the scheme describes the scheme requirements, such as which are requirements against the license certification bodies will audit the food safety management system of the organizations to achieve maintained certification for you. And this section defines the organizations are audited against ISO 2018 for the new FSMS requirements and ISO 2025 series on PRPs and the FSSC 22000 additional requirements along with any other BOS decisions which have been added to the scheme. The scheme interpretation articles, which are for some of them it's there, some will be published in the next couple of months. And within version 7, as already mentioned in the detail earlier, the new ISO standard for PRPs has been included. And we also clarified that this part of the scheme, that any amendments to ISO 22000 issued by ISO are also covered in the scheme and therefore are auditable now in version 7. So we're going to take few examples here that will tell you what has happened. So we're going to get a little deep dive now here. Now let's move on to discuss the changes in FSSC 22000 additional requirements. Now firstly, we have incorporated V6 BOS decision 4 from March 2024. Those who are following the BOS decision, you can go to the website of FSSC and you can download what decisions have been taken by board of stakeholders, and they have been included in version 7. This includes updating the requirements on laboratory analysis used for verification and validation of parameters critical to food safety, which included the analysis shall be performed in accordance with applicable requirements of ISO IC 17025. Now, for which the FSSC has already published a scheme interpretation article in June 2024. So this is not something new, but this is very formalized now and will be part of an auditing process. And if you're not familiar with this scheme interpretation article or one on the quality control, we highly recommend that you download them from the website. They are mandatory already in version 6, so it should not be something totally new. Now we're going to look at another change. Okay. Then we have made some update to FSSC 22,000 additional requirements linked to the GFSI benchmarking, as Mr. Bayu mentioned. So let's start off with the update made on the specification requirement included under the 2.5.1. That is, organizations need to ensure that the microbiological, physical, chemical, allergenic specifications used for food safety purpose are based on appropriate scientific principles when relevant legislation is absent. Okay, so just be careful when the relevant legislation, if you have a local legislation, that applies first. Okay, such as on scientific results and international standards. So now if you look at this, another example, next based is on the GFSI BMR updates, benchmarking. We have updated the requirements on food defense and food fraud mitigation to ensure that the assessments and plans are developed and maintained by personnel who have appropriate knowledge and competence to undertake them. And this is very important aspect, 2.5.3a and 2.5.4a. Now, here's another example of main change. And with this regard to the food safety and quality culture, senior management shall provide sufficient resources to maintain positive food safety and quality culture and demonstrable commitment from all personnel to the production and safe handling of food shall be available, as all personnel should be committed to the production and safe handling of food. So it's not just a requirement of quality or food safety department. They're looking into now the entire organization is following this, and the management should be able to demonstrate that during the audit. A pretty major change, I would say. So another main change is we can see to start with, we have now reduced the food defense and food fraud mitigation requirements with the additional requirements. However, this is due to them being included within so some of these requirements which were part of FSSC but were not part of ISO now have been incorporated into ISO 22002 part 100 PRP standards. So, and since this one is common for everyone, the scheme requirements has not been reduced. It's just which normative document is now present. So I don't think there's a change for you, but the references have been changed. We also updated the clause reference throughout FSSC 22,000, additional requirements to align with 22,000 PRP to make sure that the checks that new references are updated. So this one is, I would say, that is more detailed now expectation from the organizations. Some specific updates that were made based on feedback from the stakeholders and continuous improvement of the scheme. And the interesting one here is the artwork management, the graphic design, the final label, what you see printed on the packaging. The artwork management print control requirements now applies to all organizations that print labels and or materials, and no longer only applies to the category organizations, as many food and feed manufacturers also print their own materials in-house and therefore need to have a control over those procedures. So category I is basically if you are buying from somebody, but in case you are making your own labels, this is an additional requirement. With this regard to the allergen management, we have now updated the following requirement to apply to the pet food products also, and not only to the animal feed producers. So that now indicates that where there is no allergen related legislation for the country of the sale pertaining to the animal feed or pet food, this section of the scheme requires the requirements from the allergen management program to be implemented and may be indicated as not applicable unless a claim relating to an allergen status had been made on the animal feed or pet food. Allergenically claims such as hypoallergenic and analergenic claims in which the requirements would still apply. Okay, so these two changes I would say that are the ones those who are, you'll have to go deeper into it. Now here with regards to the PRP verification, additional requirements which relates to the organization needing to establish, implement and maintain routine site inspection, PRP checks. This requirement now applies to the catering and food service industry and the retail wholesale sector. So overall, this requirement now does not apply to FCC F2 for trading and brokerage, as this sector undertakes administrative activities only. Okay. Now next, regarding the product design. Now this is, you should be talking to your R&D department in your company. The next, regarding product design and development, additional requirements linked to the shelf life validation on ongoing verification, and it's been clarified that this requirement applies to food chain subcategories B3, C, D, and K. And it is the requirement that indicates the need to conduct production and shelf life trials to validate product formulation and processes are capable of producing safe product and meet customer requirements, and that a process for an ongoing shelf life verification. This part is new. It's not only one-time validation of shelf life, but they're expecting now that the process for ongoing shelf life verification shall be in place at the frequency based on the risk of the product. Although there's a subjective part to it, so it's not just one time anymore. So here we are looking at 2.5.14. Okay, the traceability. It was about the health status of personnel linked to the food chain category D, animal feed production. However, this has been removed from the additional requirements because now it is adopted in ISO 20002 part 100, and again this requirement is covered within the scheme under different normative. Now here the V6 of BOS decision number 3 from March 24 have been added into version 7 as an additional requirement under 2.5.14 relating to the organizations needing to establish, implement and maintain appropriate procedures and systems to ensure that the traceability of edible parts of the carcass is maintained until the carcass is deemed fit for human consumption. A reminder that this was added in the V6 of BOS decision list to meet the GFSI benchmarking requirement. Now then, regarding the additional requirements on food loss, waste, we have now clarified that the food loss and waste objectives shall be supported by clear and measurable targets within defined timelines. So this is to further support the reduction of food loss and waste and continued contribution to the sustainable development goal. So now we are looking at the FSSC additional requirements now. Now this example is for the multi-site certification 2.5.18. Then with this regard to the additional requirements for organizations with multi-site certification, we have updated to indicate that these requirements now apply to FCC B3 for pre-process handling, of plant products. I like pack houses when a B3 organization undergoes multi-site verification. And as this food chain category can now also undergo multi-site verification from version 7 onwards. So then we are also pleased to announce that we have incorporated a new requirement under product design and development, which applies to organizations that design primary packaging and packaging material. The main aim here is to add this requirement to further support the food loss and waste reduction. This requirement was developed with the support of WPO organization, for which FSSC is an associate member. That is an Australasian Institute of Packaging, and is on aspects of the AIP, Safe Food Packaging Design Principles. For more details, organizations that design primarily packaging materials, not only category I organizations, but all organizations that design primary packaging and packaging material shall take the following principles in consideration when developing new products, making changes to the packaging as applicable. So first one being effective contaminant and protection of the product from spoilage and damage throughout all the steps of the supply chain. The second one is preserve and extend the shelf life of the packaging being packed. Third is minimize the food loss and waste. And fourth one is the clear communication to consumers on how to handle, store, prepare food. And if there were any of the above mentioned principles are incorporated, it shall not negatively impact the food safety. So again, these requirements, what we talked about, is requiring organization to consider these principles within the design, and they need to be able to demonstrate that they have considered it in their implementation. The intent of this particular requirement for organization is to consider how they can design their packaging and reduce food loss and waste. Okay. We also have done a webinar on this one. You should be able to access through FSSC website. Now, the new requirement 2.5.13 is based on the Safe Food Packaging Design Criteria Guidelines developed by AIP, as I mentioned, with RMIT, University and Food Waste Australia, and which has been globalized by WPO. You can also scan the QR code, which is given on the left-hand side of the presentation, to access these guidelines, to share it with your packaging design team. As a reminder that our scheme only covers certain aspects of these principles and not all of them. If you are willing, you can go ahead and implement all of them, but specific ones have been defined, as in my previous slide, are only required for the certification of the scheme. Now, these are the generic ones which we will talk about. There has been certain changes. So next we briefly look at some of the key updates made to part 3 of the scheme, which relates to certification process. You can see that there will be some changes in auditor time required. Okay. These are only some of the key updates. So we highly recommend you review these changes because this is going to impact your organization, and this will also impact organizations, those who are not only being audited, but also the organizations like CBs, those will be auditing you. Okay, so this reminder is for the audit duration, what they call DS, plus TFSSC, is time requirement, is based on the audit duration calculation given in ISO 22003 part 1. Okay. And is what duration would be for a 22,000 audit. the TFSSC, the time calculation is given here. So FSSC has now changed the time required in version 7 to allow further flexibility in minimum audit duration for small organizations and in certain sectors while it's maintaining the integrity of the audit. Now, you can see on the display here that half auditor days, 4 working hours, when company has less than 100 FTEs, full-time employees, and maximum 2 HACCP studies. 1 auditor day, 8 working hours, when the company has 100 to 249 FTEs and maximum 2 HACCP studies. Now then it requirements to 1.5 auditor day, 12 working hours, when the organization has more than 250, this for large organizations or more, or 3 HACCP studies or more. Okay. Now some organizations may therefore experience a reduction in audit duration for version 7 compared to version 6, and some large ones may have an increased this thing. So this change makes minimum basic 22,000 audit duration for 1.5, 2, and 2.5 auditor days, depending on the TFSSC shown in the table. As the DS, what we call audit duration, is always minimum 1 audit day. That has not been changed. However, for the categories C, which is food manufacturing, D, animal feed production, and K, which is biochemicals, the minimum audit duration shall never be less than 2 days in order to meet the GFSI benchmarking requirements. Okay. So we are getting closer to the last 10, 12 minutes. I know this has been a long presentation for you, but hopefully you should be having a clarity. And what I will try to do is I'll also try and share my speaker notes with you. So in case you have missed out on any parts, you'll be able to read through those notes, so that for further clarity. So now here is we have updated example rule for audit duration for small organizations, less than 20 people, FTEs, maximum 2 HACCP studies. Further reductions are allowed in audit duration of 1.5 days for full audit types in all categories. We have therefore removed the requirement for the process to be considered a simple process and also increased HACCP studies from 1 to 2, which was originally there. This allows more flexibility in audit duration for smaller organizations. Please still keep in mind that the CBs shall ensure that audit duration allows for an effective audit based on audit objectives, scope, and specific audit needs, and covering the full FSSC 22,000 requirements. And therefore, the audit duration may also be increased, and CBs can decide not to apply the exemption required depending on the complexity, scope, and specific audit needs. So this is at the discretion of the certification bodies. The audit durations calculated are minimum durations, and CBs can increase them when the need arises to meet audit objectives and ensure effective, robust, and audit is delivered to you. Now let's talk about full remote audits. In relation to full remote audits, where the requirement of the full remote audit addendums are met, a full remote audit may be conducted as a result of serious event. This requirement has been updated to include that it's only allowed to conduct 2 consecutive full remote audits, and after an on-site audit is required, this is to ensure the integrity of the certification. Now, with regards to the audit duration for off-site manufacturing, processing, and service activities, there is only one option of audit duration calculation, except in the case of the campus style setup. Okay, let's look at the update in more detail. Where the off-site manufacturing, processing, or service audits take place, the audit duration of the satellite site shall be calculated separately from the main site, and in which case 50% of audit time reduction may be applied when calculating the audit duration for the satellite site. Now, TFSSC applies on top of the calculated DS. Only in the case of campus-style setup may be combined parameter, FTE, number of full-time employees, as sub-studies. The entire setup used calculate duration specified in 4.3 part 3 of the scheme will be applied to it. I know it's a bit complicated here. I don't think everybody will get clarity onto this one. Now let's look at part 3 main changes. Okay. Then regarding multi-site certification, as mentioned in the previous slide, B3 for pre-process handling of products and plant products, for example, pack houses, is not eligible for multi-site certification where the relevant requirements are met. We also clarified how to calculate central function audit duration. However, the intent has not changed. And we also clarified the audit reporting requirements for multi-site organizations. Now, lastly, in relation to the unannounced audits, it is now mandated to agree on the blackout days in advance between the CBs and certified organizations, whereas previously it was recommendation. And now we also clarified how to proceed in case the site is not in operation at all when the auditor arrives outside the unannounced audits. That concludes the brief presentation for today. However, we will highly recommend you review the full main changes document published on our website. I still recommend you to download that. Now, this is the timeline. Okay. You can see that the slide gives you an overview from the V7 that when audits will commence for the V7. The V7 scheme 22,000 was published on 1st May 26, including main changes in the version. And there's a 12-month transition window to allow organizations and CBs to prepare for the new version. Okay, so that's a big relief for organization. It gives you sufficient time to prepare. On time to time, when we have a new update, we will present it to you, the new material, which will allow you in your implementation process. Now, process is very similar to F6. I would say the upgrade process document outlines requirements for the transition process, including timelines for the upgrade process, as well as requirements for certification bodies and accreditation bodies to adhere to, linked to the topics such as communication, competency, audits, including audit duration, contracts and certificates, as well as licensing and accreditation. Now, the upgrade process for V7 is very similar to the previous one. 12 months transition window. Audits against the FSSC 22,000 scheme are only allowed to be delivered up to 30th April 2027. So you can still have an audit with version 6 up to 30th April 2027. Anything after that will automatically be a version 7. Listen. Upgrade audits against 22,000 V7 shall be conducted from May 1, 2027 until 30th April 2028. Okay. So there is a 1 year period in which you have to transition. So first of all, you get 1 year to transition, but you also get 1 year as mandatory time for transition. All upgrade audit packets and V7 certificates are required to be uploaded on the FSSC 22 FSSC assurance platform by the certification bodies within 2 months of the last day of the V7 upgrade audit. So there is a requirement for the CB that they have to follow. Therefore, CBs will have to complete the V7 upgrade of all their certified organizations and upload it on the platform no later than 30th June 2028. So they get sufficient time, even the certification bodies, to do that. All the remaining version 6 certificates will automatically be withdrawn or sunset in the assurance platform after 30th June 2028. So I think these timelines are very important for you. You should pin them down, share it with your leadership in the organization, work closely with your CBs so that you are not in a situation. And yeah, as I said, that after 30th June 2028, all the V6 certificates will be removed from the website. The CBs have to ensure that issue a new contract, because this may have a change in the audit duration, audit time, the scheme, the relevance to the PRP. There are so many things. So this is highly recommend that you contact your certification body and get those things clarified before you start working on your audits. And the audit duration requirements as per scheme V7 will apply to all the version 7, this thing, because that will require recalculation and that needs to be reconfirmed. And you can see a disclaimer here that no additional increase in audit duration specific to the upgrade audit is needed, basically. I don't think that we have Bhasha here right now, but those who are fluent in Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Turkish, they can download the version of this. The documents, they are also available on the website. And now we'll jump straight onto the Q&As. Hopefully I'm able to answer your questions. If not, then we'll collect all of them, because I think this itself is a major change. Everybody's trying to get familiarized with it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Darshan, for your insight information regarding the newest FSSC scheme. I remember before maybe Q&A session, during International Worker Days in 1 May 2026. Yeah, we know we are on holiday, yeah. In Indonesia, maybe in international also holiday. The morning, I checked the FSSC social media, LinkedIn, and also the website. FSSC had published FSSC version 7 in the holiday worker days. At first glance, I found it very interesting and challenging. Wow, the material of FSSC version 7, yeah, especially for me as a consultant. I'm very hyped to help prepare for implementation at the client, because I think exception the major change was certainly in the PRP. Yeah, PRP series have major change updating. In the additional requirement, we need to adjust our document and also more detailed implementation, more than existing that we have, let's say the procedural, let's say the document records, and then the evidence to comply to our document FSSC. So thank you so much, Dr. Darshan, for your insight information. I'm scared with your material presentation today. Our client no need for training to us because it's very comprehensive, and maybe
no. I think that as people will go through the details, they will have so many questions. So it's not means I just touched the iceberg. You have the whole iceberg below water you need to address, you know. So
yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
there's no better than you guys who can do that, you know. With in-depth knowledge about each sector and the PRPs, I think.
Yes. So we will open the Q&A session. Maybe we will start with 2 butts. Yeah, each butts have limit 3 questions. Yeah, we have maybe because the due time constraint, we have maybe 6 questions with partially 2 batch. So, admin team, please help us to list the first batch. Maybe the 3 question start from chat Zoom. Mr. Nadifa, can you help us?
Yeah, the first question from Pak Berry, Pak.
Yes. Yeah, maybe I have to read the question from the Mr. Berry Patmanegara. For the environmental addendum, the FSSC is exploring the need for voluntary environmental annex that can be linked to both SCEM FSSC 22,000 and FSSC 24,000. The objective is to assist organization in demonstrating compliance with SCEM SDG reporting requirement, Sustainability Development Goals requirement for environmental aspect. For FSSC 22,000, this will also be linked to food loss waste data and its impact on greenhouse gases emission. Please explain in detail the purpose and objective as well as the format of SDG reporting, what food loss waste data will be used for, and what tire greenhouse gas emission will be reported. Thank you so much.
Yeah, excellent question. I think we'll require another 90 minutes to answer this question because he's asking explain in detail. So my this thing is that
Yes.
yeah. So my point here is that they're trying to get additional requirements in 22,000 because they are all related to the food. Okay.
Yeah.
The environmental impact, and since FSSC is connected and is committed to reducing food waste as a part of impact strategy, they have incorporated that some of the requirements that would meet the SDG goals. Now, the detailed documentation on how do you do implementation, do the measurement will be part of the guidance document, which will be published. Okay, because there is a lot of people are asking those questions on the space. Okay, so I think right now there is no one standardized way that all organizations are going to be measuring that, because everybody's understanding and interpretation of doing things is different. But definitely they will get more guidance on this. This is an important topic which was added because similar to food defense, food waste has been one of the big challenges. And if we as an organization want to make an impact at the global scale, there must be a standardized way of measuring this, and that's the reason to that. But I think maybe 2-3 months from now we can plan for a separate workshop with everybody on this topic and provide you more clarity, because some of the work is in the process, I would say.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Darshan. So, Mr. Berry, we will wait until the FSSC conduct the new workshop, and publish the standard for the measurement tools for that.
So you can see that there was no specific goals which were specified by organizations in many places. Now it will start following the ISO principle, that you must have goals, PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act cycle. And that is going to be a most important part here, that you have a routine, you have targets, you have goals, you're implementing it, your organization is following up on that, and not just that saying we are compliant or something. This is an ongoing moving target and a goal for an organization.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, hope it can answer, Mr. Berry. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. I can see you have a lot of certifications on your background.
Yeah. Okay, and then the second from Mr. Fazri from PT Primadaya Plasticindo. Recently, on additional requirement, there are updates regarding the scope. Before the product packaging scope is not classified into sub category. What is the specific amendment regarding PRP ISO 2002.100 related to the scope change? maybe I can answer from the explanation, Ms. Dr. Darshan. The subcategory just only impact to competency, skill, auditors, and certification. But for manufacturing, for the subcategory specific determination, it's not so far. There is not impact significance for the maybe specific sector in the PRP. Maybe, right, Dr. Darshan?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Now, wherever there is a change, they can download the document, and that can be used, incorporated in training the people in the organization. So it has a two ways. One is the auditor competency, that they need to be competent in that specific subcategory. At the same time, if your organization falls into that category, then you have a clearer idea that what they will audit against. What is it going to be added? So it's a two-way this thing. It's a relevant question, but you will be able to download the PRP standard, which is added to this thing, and follow the requirements from that.
Sorry, maybe
make changes in your so means it has not only impact in terms of just training, but in some cases there could be impact. You could see it is that drainages and those kind of things, which are also may impact many organizations. That if your drainages are not in the right direction and those kind of things.
Okay, Dr. Darshan, if in the certificate there is a more detail to subcategory item, or just subcategories also?
Subcategory.
Subcategory only.
But this is done so that they get more clearer assessment.
Okay.
So for example, the person who is expert in metal auditing goes to cardboard, paper, or even plastic, may not have sufficient knowledge. Now, this is what is going to happen is that the auditors will have to go through that specific expertise training so that they can deliver a good audit.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, maybe any question again? If there is still no question, maybe I have question.
Q&A question, Pak Bayu.
Yeah. In column Q&A.
Box.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. From Mr. Saifullah Subi. There, Mr. Darshan, whether past 96 still used as a reference guidance for. Sorry, maybe I can correctly pass 96 for TACCP food defense. Yeah. And I know the FSSC Foundation expectation about the implementation for the food safety and quality culture. I think we can stop only for budget setting and questionnaire calculation. Yeah, in the Q&A session, maybe the reference for the TACCP. This is a specific from FSSC that mandatory shall be applied, or many others reference, many others tools for food defense mitigation, food defense assessment. Can we use, Dr. Darshan? Maybe the first question.
Yeah, what FSSC does is it defines what you must have. And many times it provides a flexibility on how you should do it, as long as you are able to demonstrate that you have adhered to those principles and requirements of FSSC specified in that specific clause. You are free to use this thing. So if you talk about HACCP, then they have already given clear guidance on what HACCP requirements are, correct?
Yeah.
So the whole objective of giving FSSC scheme standard is basically providing clarity between the ISO and the additional requirements, and also sector-specific requirements. So as I said, that provides you what part of it. You still have flexibility to demonstrate using how the methods and technologies.
Okay. For the second question related the food safety and quality culture, how far the FSSC Foundation expectation for the food safety and quality culture implementation? Maybe for the explanation from Dr. Darshan, I've got the point, but for food safety and quality culture, just not only the program, but we shall have the measurement objective, and also the employee can demonstrate the quality and food safety culture. This is the new mentions. Yeah.
Two components. One is what is the management's role, that is providing resources, adequate resources for implementing culture. At the same time, the entire organization should demonstrate that they are implementing that food safety culture in that. So it's not just the function of one department or something. It's been very clearly mentioned. No?
Yeah.
It means if you go to the shipping department and if they don't know how do you handle the product, what temperatures they need to maintain, the whole system is basically could be challenged. That's why it is important. All right, so I think I know it must be an evening and people want to get out, correct? So.
Yeah. Okay, maybe a question already done, but the final, Dr. Darshan, I have a message. A message question for board of stakeholder that already published example last year. It is still relevant and applicable when the newest board of stakeholder already published. So replacement or still applicable and mandatory to being implemented.
So what happens is that the board of stakeholder meeting happens, and then the inputs are given in that, and being transparent process, the FSSC publishes board of stakeholder decisions on its website.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for example, you could see that some of the decisions made in 24 have been implemented in version 7, because you cannot jump and start adding requirements randomly in between, correct?
Yeah.
It requires preparation. It requires understanding. You need to provide sufficient time, alignment, and therefore some of these decisions take time, correct? So, for example, if you have to come out with a new version, so inputs from changes to the ISO, recommendations from the GFSI new guideline, and board of stakeholder recommendations, all they get included in the next version. And that's why there is a sufficient time for it.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's not being late is the question, that you do not want to make disruptions in the current system. And make a systematic change,
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Darshan. So, all participants, thank you so much for your enthusiasm. Due to the time constraint, maybe we have closed the material from Dr. Darshan, and we will continue to the quiz session. Yeah, for Dr. Darshan, we will really appreciate for your insight and information. And if you still possible for you to be asked until the quiz session is finished, it's okay. But if there are other activity or agenda, we can understand that Mr. Darshan can do it. So maybe thank you so much for Mr. Dr. Darshan for the explanation. I think all participants today have received very valuable insight and information for prepare in each company regarding the FSSC 22000 version 7 update. We wish Dr. Darshan always health and success in the career, in the work. We greatly appreciate the board opportunity today and time given to him this afternoon. And we hope there will be another opportunity to conduct a webinar partnership on other topic. So thank you so much, Dr. Darshan. Yeah, God bless you. Yeah, success
thank
for
you. Very much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Bayu and Mr. Darshan. Sorry. I think we can take the documentation for the last.
Because the edit participant, right?
There's so many participants join.
With 7 guests, right? 7.
That's perfect. Because FSSC version 7, so we got the post for the 7 sign. Okay. Will be this sign. Okay.
Maybe with a thumbs up with 7, maybe, Mr. Darshan.
Version 7.
7, yeah.
Okay. For the chief, please to take the screenshot. Okay, I will count on my three. On the page 1, 1, 2, and 3, and page 2, 1, 2, and 3. Page 3, 1, 2, and 3, and page 4, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will continue to quiz session, Mr. Nadif.
Yes, thank you
Nadifa.
very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darshan.
All the best to you, all of you.
Oke,
Silakan, Bu Nadifa.
baik, terima kasih Pak Bayu. Mungkin mohon izin saya bahasanya bahasa Indonesia lagi ya Bapak Ibu ya, biar lebih enak ya. Gitu. Oke, baik Bapak Ibu. Mungkin untuk selanjutnya yang akan mungkin ditunggu-tunggu gitu ya, kuis-kuis berhadiah. Mungkin mohon izin Bapak Ibu silakan bisa menyiapkan mobile phone-nya, karena kita akan kuis biasa gitu ya, menggunakan mobile phone. Izin untuk share screen terlebih dahulu dari saya. Sebentar, saya share. Oke. Oke, Bapak Ibu sudah siap ya untuk kuis yang pertama. Silahkan Bapak Ibu bisa follow, kemudian like postingan terakhir kami di sosial media kami. Di sini ada Instagram, LinkedIn, dan juga Facebook, Bapak Ibu. Kemudian tulis jawabannya dari pertanyaan klausul terbaru gitu ya, dari Additional Requirement FSSC. Apa klausul terbaru dari Additional Requirement FSSC? Mungkin saya tunggu 2 menit ya. 2 menit sampai...
Mungkin diperjelas kali ya Mbak Diva ya, apa klausul terbaru dari Additional FSSC yang artinya tidak ada di versi 6 ya?
Oke, betul
Ya.
Pak.
Yang dulunya tidak ada di versi 6, sekarang muncul di FSSC. Dituliskan judul klausulnya atau termasuk juga nomor seriesnya ya. Yang paling
betul.
yang paling tercepat dan yang benar itu yang akan terpilih.
Betul. Tapi jangan lupa Pak Bayu harus like dan juga follow nih.
Oh
Gitu.
iya. Oke.
Silakan Bapak Ibu nanti bisa komen gitu ya jawabannya di Instagram kami postingan terakhir, kemudian di LinkedIn dan juga di Facebook seperti itu. Saya tunggu mungkin sampai extend deh 2 menit jadi 16-12 gitu ya.
Sebelum
Silakan,
kita kuis yang lain ya.
Betul, nanti akan ada kuis yang lain. Untuk link-linknya gitu ya Bapak Ibu sudah kami kirimkan juga di kolom chat Zoom. Jadi Bapak Ibu bisa langsung langsung klik gitu ya link-linknya seperti itu.
Tadi sepertinya dapat pesan juga dari Pak Edi ya, Mbak Nadifa. Katanya kalau hari ini berminat untuk segera training atau konsultasi, katanya the best price ya. Jadi, wah momennya pas banget ini. Jadi, silakan segera kontak dengan tim admin sales kami. Ada di sini ada Bu Ani, ada juga Bu Lulu ya, Mbak Lulu, ada juga Bu Rahmi ya. Silakan Bapak Ibu semuanya sesuai dengan ya, karena Bapak Ibu semua klien existing loyal kami ya. Tentunya kami juga akan memberikan best price-nya ya. Seperti itu. Wah.
Dari Pak Saifullah nih Pak.
Iya Pak, PO yang udah dikirim bisa direvisi dong Pak. Wah itu tinggal nanti didiskusikan Pak. Direvisi lebih tinggi juga mungkin bisa sih ya. Ya, nanti akan diproses oleh tim Pak. Ya.
Oke, 1 menit terakhir Bapak Ibu silakan yang belum menjawab mungkin masih ada kesempatan bisa di Instagram, LinkedIn dan juga Facebook.
Ya, sambil menunggu juga mungkin Mbak Diva. Bapak Ibu semua, ketika memang mungkin kami sedikit infokan kembali untuk yang sudah pernah bekerja sama dengan kami maupun yang belum, kami saat akan sesi training, kami tidak hanya mengajarkan materinya, tapi di dalam materi kami juga akan memberikan sampel contoh dokumen, terutama yang memang highlight perubahan dari yang baru. Tentunya ketika Bapak Ibu membutuhkan pemahaman yang lebih detail dan contoh-contoh materi, silakan ya bisa kontak untuk menghubungi kami untuk kebutuhan training dan juga konsultasi. Tentu Bapak Ibu pasti akan berbeda ketika hanya training dan konsultasi ya. Ketika konsultasi kami akan benar-benar full support, memberikan contoh semua dokumen dan juga mengajarkan cara penerapannya hingga kami dampingi. Ya, nah untuk training juga kami akan berikan main change dokumennya untuk Bapak Ibu bisa aplikatifkan di perusahaan masing-masingnya. Jadi tidak hanya mengajarkan ketentuannya saja, tapi kita juga akan memberikan solusi Dan yang paling sulit biasanya adalah menyesuaikan dengan kendala yang ada di perusahaan ya. Dan itu tugas kami untuk bisa memberikan insight atau win-win solution supaya nanti saat audit itu juga menjadi aman gitu ya, tidak menjadi isu finding atau non-conformity. Seperti itu. Ya, mungkin Mbak Diva, silakan dilanjutkan.
Mungkin saya reminder lagi ya Bapak Ibu ya untuk pertanyaannya.
Waduh,
Tadi seperti yang
nggak
Pak
ada yang
Bayu
benar
sampaikan,
jawabannya.
seperti yang Pak Bayu sampaikan ya, apa klausul yang apa yang terbaru, yang paling baru gitu ya di versi 7 ini ya. Silakan masih ada kesempatan berarti ya Bapak Ibu ya.
Masih ada kesempatan ya. Clue-nya ini katanya yang kurang ini ada di Instagram ya. Yang Instagram masih ada peluang ya. Gitu ya, Mbak?
Betul, yang di Facebook juga silakan masih terpantau, masih belum ada yang komen.
Clue-nya
Dan LinkedIn
adalah klausul antara 10 sampai 15. Antara 10 sampai 15 ya. Jadi antara itu. Jadi tebak-tebak silakan. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, atau 15 gitu ya. Antara 10 dan 15. Ininya ya. Oke. Sambil menunggu ya. Kita mulai kuis yang ini, Mbak Diva, untuk yang quiz.com silakan.
Oke.
Mungkin
Baik,
dibantu
mungkin untuk
Mbak Anin.
bisa share screen.
Hadiahnya apa ya Mbak Diva ya? Tadi belum disebutkan loh. Makanya kurang menarik ini.
Nanti nanti akan dibantu sama tim admin Pak untuk pengiriman hadiahnya. Jadi
Wah.
apa namanya akan infokan nanti pemenangnya, nanti akan diinfokan pada admin nanti.
Yang pasti sangat bermanfaat dan berguna ya, baik untuk apa pekerjaan ya, mendukung pekerjaan ya. Entah berupa tumbler, berupa merchandise, berupa voucher gitu ya, pasti akan berguna sih.
Betul, Pak.
Oke, next silakan kita masuk ke quiz.com Bapak Ibu sekalian. Bisa scan QR-nya yang tertera. Mungkin bisa dibantu zoom in Mbak Anin untuk supaya lebih besar untuk QR-nya. Bisakah dibantu diperbesar? Wow. Sound-nya bisa dibantu dimasukkan juga Mbak Anin? Sepertinya sound-nya belum masuk. Share sound juga ya saat share screen. Biar seru ada suaranya. Jadi saat share screen sekalian juga share sound. Musiknya bisa digedekan. Oke. Oh, belum bisa juga ya. Kita tunggu dulu. Mungkin di sini ada 192 ya. Ya di atas 130 lah ya. Atau 140 kita akan mulai. 1-2 menit lagi kita tunggu.
Pak Bayu mohon izin mungkin untuk kuis ini nanti silakan Bapak Ibu juga rename untuk namanya ya Bapak Ibu ya, jangan pakai yang default seperti itu. Jadi kita bisa konfirmasi siapa-siapa yang menang.
Oh, itu nama keren sepertinya.
Iya Pak,
Nama panggung.
William. Gitu. Betul. Jadi nanti silakan Bapak Ibu bisa apa namanya ubah
Merename
namanya
ya.
dulu.
Iya,
Betul
biar
gitu.
kita tahu.
Jadi kesepakatan Bapak Ibu ya, kalau misalnya namanya belum di rename itu izin saya alihkan ke yang peringkat 2 atau peringkat yang selanjutnya.
Oke, mau diganti dengan nama ini ya. Nama sesuai KTP lah ya, nggak usah lengkap-lengkap amat gitu ya.
Nama lengkap itu juga Pak.
Iya. Kalau namanya 5 kalimat lumayan panjang. Oke, mungkin bisa kita mulai. Selebihnya Masih ada yang mau join? Karena kalau sudah dimulai sepertinya agak sulit ya untuk menyusul ya. Ada 5 pertanyaan di sini. Mbak Andin bisa tampilkan kembali? Sudah suaranya masuk. Bagaimana Mbak Nadifa? Kita mulai saja. Sepertinya udah tidak bertambah. Kita tunggu lah ya sampai 100 lah ya.
Boleh Pak, ya genep gitu Pak.
Ya mungkin yang lain ada sedang meeting atau hal lainnya. Mungkin sampai 100 kita akan mulai. Dan sambil menunggu di rename ya Bapak Ibu sekalian. Empat lagi, yuk. Ya itu yang masih ada Brother Eyes, Random Fire, Jolly Aimbot, Houseboy, mungkin bisa di rename. Oke, 3 lagi, ya. Oke, sudah 100. Kita mulai saja ya. Untuk menjikat waktu, silakan di start gamenya Mbak Anin. Ada 5 pertanyaan. Untuk 3 tertinggi akan mendapatkan hadiahnya.
Struktur implementasi FSSC 22,000.
Silakan dijawab. Ya, jawabannya semua benar. Oke, next question. Wah, ininya ya. Top statistiknya.
ERP series terbaru, sektor industri food packaging masuk dalam.
Food packaging. Series berapa Bapak Ibu?
ISO 22002 to 4.
Yes. Udah 4 ya. Oke, next. Ya. Wah, sengit sekali ya di sisi-sisi atas ya.
Perubahan sub kategori classification FSSC terbaru, produk dairy.
Dairy, kira-kira masuk C1 berapa? Oh iya, sambil tim admin boleh menginfokan absensi. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu Herlin yang sudah meminta. Bisa diinfokan kembali link yang tadi belum mengisi mungkin.
Dalam klausul food loss and waste arrested yukang dengan target yang terukur dan jelas dengan timeline.
Wah, ini mudah ini. Ya. Ya, final question. Ya. Yo, masih ada kesempatan.
Final question. Double point.
Wih, double point.
5. Masa transisi untuk organisasi dan CB membership konversi FSSC 7.
Gampang ini. Oke, ya. Terlihat siapa pemenangnya, mungkin bisa dibantu dicatat tim admin untuk yang 3 tertinggi ya. Yang memperoleh skornya.
Astri Pim SRG. Second place.
Bu Astri, tim SRG itu apa? Semarang apa Serang nih? Bapak Faris Ailo dari Ailo. Dan Bapak Fahmi atau Ibu Fahmi, Bapak Fahmi Febrian saya. Nah, silakan dicatat dan bisa kontak ke admin ya. Menunjukkan nama bahwa saya ini tadi yang 3 teratas. Oke? Ya, tidak usah di-share lagi Mbak Anin, cukup di stop share, nanti terjadi aib ya. Kalau nanti paling bawah kan nggak enak ya. Nanti jadinya waduh nama saya nomor berapa gitu ya. Thank you so much Bapak Ibu semuanya. Ya, untuk yang apa? 3 teratas silakan bisa kontak ke Bu Hani, Mbak Hani yang ada di forum chat ya untuk bisa administrationnya. So, Mbak Diva bisa di-sharekan untuk pemenang dari social media quiz yang
Oke, Pak.
sekiranya paling benar?
Oke, Bapak Ibu, setelah tadi ya pertanyaannya yang terbaru gitu ya dari FSSC version 7, di sini yang benar gitu ya ada di kolom Instagram. Mungkin di sini atas nama Instagramnya Ibu ya, Ibu Anita Wilatika seperti itu. Jadi untuk jawabannya 2.5.14 gitu ya Pak
Iya,
ya.
traceability
Jawabannya.
betul. Traceability karena replace dari yang sebelumnya. No, benar new. Oke, dari Instagram Bu Anita.
Dari Instagram Bu Anita dan terpantau dari FB dan LinkedIn sepertinya belum ada yang tepat nih Pak. Jadi mungkin
Wah,
mohon izin.
berarti
Seperti
belum
itu.
ini ya, apa sayang ya. Oke deh. Berarti belum ada yang tepat ya, berarti hadiah belum bisa diberikan. Ya. Bapak Ibu, jadi mungkin ini juga ya namanya baru webinar hari ini ya. Jadi memang new clausule itu ya traceability itu. Selebihnya yang lain penyempurnaan pendetailan dari yang ada sebelumnya gitu ya. Tapi yang benar-benar new adalah traceability khusus untuk sinol. Sinol itu karkas ya, seperti RPA, rumah RPHU, rumah potong hewan itu ya. Bagaimana sekarang traceability terhadap setiap parts. Misalnya nih filleting dada, filleting paha, sayap itu kemana? Nah itu traceability-nya harus bisa kita ketahui. Nah itu yang barunya. Ya nanti lebih detailnya, terutama yang memang sektor industrinya di sana kita akan bahas saat sesi konsultasi dan training ya tentunya. Oke, seperti itu. Mbak Diva ada mungkin tambahan kembali?
Mungkin dari saya untuk materi yang disampaikan gitu ya untuk dari tadi ya mungkin dari REI dan juga dari FSSC akan kami kirimkan sekarang Bapak Ibu di kolom chat. Jadi mohon izin nanti bisa di-download atau sudah dikirimkan ini sepertinya oleh Mbak Anin. Jadi silakan Bapak Ibu bisa download seperti itu. Mungkin sebelum meninggalkan room jangan lupa untuk di-download terlebih dahulu. Kami juga akan memberikan spare waktu gitu ya. Jadi Zoom-nya tidak kami tutup. Seperti itu mungkin Pak Bayu dari
Ya.
saya. Terima kasih, Pak.
Oke, oh ada pertanyaan mungkin saya bantu jawab ya. Kenapa ISO 2203 tidak ada? ISO 22003 itu sebenarnya ada PRP untuk farming, Pak. Tapi so far skema FSSC untuk farming itu memang sejak versi 6 kan tidak dihapuskan ya, tidak bisa dilakukan sertifikasi karena ya kita melihat juga saat ini kondisi farming tidak ada, bisa dibilang kalau di Indonesia yang saya pahami itu peminat untuk FSSC farming itu kurang. Saat itu tahun 2019 pernah ada klien yang mau coba sertifikasi farming tapi nggak jadi gitu ya. Dan memang auditor di Indonesia, terutama di Indonesia yang saya pahami, itu juga belum ada yang memiliki skill kompetensi tersebut. Sehingga kalaupun ada dari Indonesia yang berkenan, maka harus pakai auditor luar. Dan ternyata fenomena ini juga dari luar juga tidak begitu populer dan memang secara penerapan agak sulit ya. Untuk skema FSSC farming tersebut. Tapi untuk kebutuhan ISO 22000 dan juga mungkin HACCP itu memungkinkan gitu ya untuk farming dilakukan sertifikasi. Mungkin kalau ada kesempatan silakan bisa di-read untuk FSSC PRP ISO strip 3 itu terkait farming. Klausulnya cukup detail. Bagaimana sistem pengairannya, bagaimana pengolahan kotoran dari hewannya, bagaimana memastikan kesehatan hewan, penggunaan animal medicalnya, kemudian juga penggunaan bisa ya vaksin dan sebagainya itu cukup kompleks sehingga membuat memang ya saat ini belum ada kebutuhan dan FSSC pun secara scoping certification-nya itu belum dibuka. Dulu farming itu ada, cuman memang dihapuskan. Nah, sekarang ini yang ada untuk farming, untuk hewan hidup itu adalah ya RPA-nya. pemrosesan hewan hidup menjadi karkas, menjadi hewan hidup menjadi karkas gitu ya, C0 itu. Baik ayam, poultry maupun sapi gitu. Nah, untuk tumbuhan adanya di packing house, makanya ada B3. Sementara kalau farming terkait plantation tanaman atau tumbuhannya itu juga belum bisa dilakukan. Jadi langsung ke packing house-nya. Seperti itu. Mungkin sementara itu mohon maaf tadi Pak Ridwan ya untuk pertanyaannya terkait D3. Jadi Bapak Ibu semuanya menjawab juga mungkin sekalian ya, mumpung masih ada beberapa rekan, cukup rekan di sini. Kalau ditanya, Pak, saya surveillance-nya sebelum April 2027, Pak. Jadi masih pakai versi apa? Dengan penjelasan hari ini, kita langsung memahami bahwa sampai 30 April 2027 yang berlaku adalah versi 6. Baru dari situ, per 1 Mei 2027 lah, versi 7 akan baru wajib diterapkan. Tidak boleh ada kompromi untuk masih pakai versi 6. Untuk initial certification berarti berlaku juga sama. Perusahaan yang baru akan mengajukan selama itu masih di bawah April 2027, berarti di bawah Mei 2027, masih akan pakai versi 6 ya, dan setelah itu baru akan upgrade ke versi 7-nya. Seperti itu. Nah, umumnya melihat berkaca ke FSSC yang dari 5.1 ke 6 sebelumnya, walaupun memang belum berlaku untuk versi yang baru, auditor biasanya akan menanyakan bagaimana kesiapannya, apa change management yang sudah dilakukan, apakah sudah mulai persiapan untuk training gitu, walaupun memang belum tersertifikasi versi 7 ya. Apakah secara documentation sudah mulai dicicil untuk disesuaikan, bagaimana manual PRP-nya, bagaimana SOP-SOP-nya sudah kita update atau kita revise. Nah, artinya gini Bapak Ibu sekalian, walaupun memang sampai April 2027 kita masih pakai versi 6, tidak akan menjadi isu atau masalah atau finding ketika Bapak Ibu sudah prepare itu versi 7. Jadi jangan ada keraguan ketika memang masih pakai versi 6 tapi sudah set versi 7 akan menjadi isu, enggak. Ya, justru auditor akan bertanya bagaimana kita sudah mulai mempreparasi itu. Bagaimana kita menjalankan MOC kita, Management of Change kita. Project charternya seperti apa saja, develop timnya, maintain sistemnya, ya tadi kayak ada quality culture-nya itu bagaimana kita juga mulai create di sana. Jadi seperti itu mungkin yang bisa saya tambahkan. Silakan Bapak Ibu jika berminat dan berkenan untuk kita support bisa langsung hubungi tim admin ya. Ya tadi saya bilang kata Pak Edi Eskoto, mohon maaf juga mungkin Pak Edi Eskoto tidak bisa mendampingi sampai akhir karena beliau juga ada agenda yang lainnya untuk training hari ini. Jadi saya izin menyampaikan permohonan maaf dari beliau dan tadi menyampaikan pesan kabar baik juga untuk kita. Silakan jika berkenan untuk menerima proposal kami atau menghubungi kami ya. Untuk hari ini katanya ada best price. Bocorannya sih seperti itu ya. Cuma best price-nya berapa ya silakan didiskusikan gitu ya. Oke, seperti itu mungkin dari saya, Bapak Ibu semuanya untuk webinar sore hari ini. Terima kasih. Kita akan tutup ya. Sampai ketemu mungkin nanti di setiap site masing-masing ya. Sehat-sehat selalu untuk Bapak Ibu semuanya. Ya, sukses ya untuk implementasi dan persiapan FSSC 7-nya. God bless semuanya. Terima kasih. Selamat sore. Kami pamit undur diri ya. Selamat sore.
Selamat sore.
Ya.
Terima kasih Bapak
Terima
Ibu.
kasih.
Terima kasih. Selamat sore Bapak Ibu. 10.000.